Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the sinner, buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Go figure, get the figures, let's make about 8. When worst come to worst, my peoples come first. I was hardly making George before I'd written the verse. Kept my mind straight, no hate. Work with my ambition. Invested in my ideas when nobody would listen. They told me I couldn't do it, so they think I could buy it. But they ain't even trying, ain't no need to deny it. Black continuity of hustle and grind. People been fighting centuries for lives like mine. Trying to look to a higher power, but what I didn't see is the seed of success lies deeper than me. Black Wall Street, gotta get the ground beneath my own feet. Gotta be the sole controller, march to my own beat. Sacking the capital to the best of my ability. More cash in the safe because I put it through liquidity. Started from the minor league, it's basic here, but after practice, cracking the safe after we utilize these tactics.
Dr. Boyce Watkins.
What's happening, brother? How you doing?
Back.
Thank you for coming back, Dr. Boyce.
I'm glad to be here.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Go figure, get the figures, let's make about 8.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School, and I want to say good morning to everybody. Feel free to say something in the chat if you're Black and you're proud. This is the platform for intelligent Black people. So if you're Black and intelligent, then you are welcome here. If you're not Black and intelligent, then you may want to get the fuck out. This is only going to hurt your feelings. This conversation is going to be above your pay grade. So anyway, give me 1 second as I get us set up. But I wanted to also ask you guys if you could, as we get started, please hit that thumbs up button, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Follow us on Twitter. My Twitter is Dr. Boyce Watkins and then the number 1. That's Dr. Boyce Watkins 1. And I'm not going to be on here for too long, but I really, really, really wanted to have this conversation about Black men in sports. And this is a conversation that is important to have, I think, because I think that as a community, we allow ourselves to be put in positions where we find ourselves losing and we don't know why. I see many examples of us doing things that jeopardize our community, and we don't quite connect the dots all the time. And the white man is always connecting the dots. The white man was connecting dots before you were born. He's always connecting dots on how to control and exterminate your ass. And I think that many of us have to learn how to play chess instead of checkers. So let's jump in and kind of hit this a little bit. Where did this conversation come from? It came from the fact that I was watching last night. And give me a yes or no if you have watched any of the Aaron Hernandez documentary on Netflix. Give me a yes or no if you're watching this documentary and kind of seeing the sad story about Aaron Hernandez. Are you aware, or at least aware of Aaron Hernandez? Give me a yes or no if you're even aware of Aaron Hernandez, who he is. Aaron Hernandez played for, thank you, man, appreciate it. He played for the New England Patriots. And Aaron, and it's interesting that he played for the team that Antonio Brown also played for a while, because they have something in common. And Aaron Hernandez is a guy who did some pretty crazy stuff. I mean, my boy got convicted of murdering multiple people. And this was right during the peak of his career, right when I think that he had led the Patriots to the Super Bowl, or he was one of the key players at the very least. And, a lot of people didn't even suspect him of being the killer in these homicides, because they were just like, well, why would you do that if you're a superstar with the New England Patriots? And the thing about it is that when you talk about Aaron Hernandez and you talk about Antonio Brown and the choices they made, What's really fascinating is that people don't talk about what's really going on in these situations. And the reason I think it's important that we talk about it as a Black community is because it's affecting us. It's affecting the men in our community. These are the men. These men who play sports are the brothers who are supposed to be the husbands, fathers, and leaders of the Black community. And many of them are not in a position to do that because they go into this sport that doles out brain damage on a mass scale. They go into the sport called football that the more I look at the data, the more I look at the research, and it's hard for me to really say this, but the more I look at it, the more I realize that that we got to really, as a community, really think this through. Now, let me share my screen with you guys for a second so you can see what I'm looking at here. This interesting looking white lady has brains in her jar, and she is a researcher. And what she found, and I believe she's at Boston University, and I'm highlighting this headline up here, so I want you guys to look at this. CTE found in 99% of former NFL players studied, 99%. And you go down and look at the article, and it says a new study suggests that chronic, this was 2 or 3 years ago. Now, of course, they're not going to make this big news because who cares about Black men dying of brain damage, right? Who cares about Black men who are beating their wives because they don't have impulse control? Who cares about Black men going to jail for crimes that were committed while they were under the influence of brain damage, right? Who cares about that, right? And so basically what they found was that when they studied the brains of former NFL players, and I'm gonna read some of this to you, they found that 99% of all NFL players had CTE, which is basically the brain damage that comes from playing football. 91% of college football players. So that means even if you're a college player and you never play pro, you're still probably going to get it. You probably still have you probably have it. And I hate saying it like this because some of y'all might have played college ball. Some of y'all might have relatives and loved ones who play college ball. But I can't, I'm not here to tell you guys lies. I'm not here to bullshit you. I'm here to talk to you about what's really going on out here. And then also they said 21% of high school athletes have it. 21% of the high school players. So she says the data suggests that there's a very likely a relationship between exposure to football and the risk of developing the disease. She's an assistant professor of neurology and the lead author in the study. The study has several important limitations, most notably the lack of a control groups and selection bias, right? Basically, the reason that these brains were studied, and this is important to understand too as a caveat, they were studied because the players, before they died, because they can only check for CTE from what I understand after you're dead. But some of the players that killed themselves because the brain damage was so bad, the headaches, the lack of balance, the lack of impulse control, depression was a big symptom. And so they studied the players whose families had said, our loved one was showing signs of CTE. He was showing signs of violence. He was showing signs of, these outbursts. He couldn't remember things, right? So these are people that were selected based on showing the symptoms of CTE. Now, let me tell you a little story. I've mentioned this before. I got to mention it again. It's very important to talk about this. I remember I met a brother by the name of Antoine Randall L. If you are a football fan and you remember Antoine Randall L., raise your hand, say something in the chat, say yes if you know who Antoine Randall L. is. Antoine Randall L. won a Super Bowl, and he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was an extraordinary athlete. And I remember I spoke with Antoine at a speaking engagement that we were both doing. And I remember I asked Antoine, I said, so do a lot of your friends have this CTE thing that they're talking about? And he said, oh yeah, most of my friends have it. He said, he said, you'll be talking to a guy that you haven't seen for years, and he'll be like, hey, what's up? And he said, a few minutes later, you'll see the same guy, and the guy will look at you and he'll be like, hey, what's up? Like he won't remember that he had just talked to you 2 minutes earlier. Like that will be out of his brain. And so basically what I think you got to kind of do is look at this, put it in its proper context. Here's what football does, how football is a blessing and a curse for the Black man. It's a blessing because we're the best athletes on earth. It's a blessing because, you have a few guys that go in here and make big money and get big fame and all this other stuff that they dream about. we grow up, we all, anybody else, any brothers in here grow up wanting to be like a pro football player besides me? Who else in here wanted to be a professional athlete? Maybe pro football, pro basketball. Anybody else in here felt that way growing up? So I'm a big football fan. I mean, I really am, and it breaks my heart to even have to talk about the realities of this, right? And really revisit so many things I've been taught to believe since I was a child. Well, anyway, football's a blessing and a curse for the black man because we're the best in the world at it. But what happens is millions of our men are dedicating their lives to it. At an early age, you got children beginning the brain damage process, by joining these little peewee leagues and these little Pop Warner leagues that they put up around the country. This systematic effort to get black men involved in sports because they need a consistent gravy train of black male athletes that they can make money from. Right? They need to groom them when they're young. You groom them for adult abuse the same way R. Kelly might groom little girls to get them ready to drop it like it's hot, when they're 17, 18 years old, right? So our boys get groomed for the big lottery. I call it the big lottery because you get 1,000 boys that all put in their ticket. They all go in and they all, risk the brain damage. They all risk the significant body injury, the paralysis. They all put in thousands of hours of work to get one lottery ticket. So out of that 1,000 boys, maybe you'll pick 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 out of that 1,000, and the other 995 are just left with the brain damage, right? And the way I see the brain damage, what's fascinating is if you think about it, when these brothers, unfortunately, when they get done playing and they come back to their communities, it's our women that they're beating up on. It's our community that's wreaking the collateral damage from whatever happened to them while they were playing college sports or in the NFL. See, white folks only want you when you're good. White folks only want the black man around when he's safe. They only want him around when he's not going to cause no trouble. They don't want the challenges of being around the black man. They only want him when he's good. Like Becky only wants you when you are on top of things. But when you start falling off, she's going to send you back to Shaniqua, right? The black woman stands by you through thick and thin, tall and short, big and small. Becky only wants you because you were on TV yesterday, right? So for black folks, what happens is when we are at our best, the world wants a piece of us. Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me, right? So when you are on top, when you're on TV, you're making millions of dollars. Everybody says they love you. But then when you're done, when you're brain damaged, you're addicted to drugs, steroids, whatever, you can't play no more. You're broke as hell. Maybe you got a gambling addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, all that shit. Then they dump you back into the hood. They dump you back under our community as an asset that has become a liability. You were a tremendous asset for them, but you become a liability for us. So basically, what it's almost like this, and I gotta run after I share this with you guys. It's a lot like they're taking your men and they're infecting them with a disease. They're infecting them with a virus called brain damage. They're infecting your men, and then they're taking those same men, they're dropping them into your communities, and they're becoming the fathers of your children. They're becoming the heads of your household. They're becoming your predators, your abusers, etc. Because here's the thing: your brain is a valuable asset. The reason I never used drugs or drank is because I remember Malcolm X saying the white man will sell you the liquor bottle and then he'll lock you up for being drunk. I only need about 3 more minutes, babe. And I remember thinking my brain is the most important part of my body as a black man. If I'm a black man, I gotta always have my brain together so that I can make strategic decisions, so I can play chess, not checkers, so I can make sure that I'm good and I'm safe and I'm protected. So, so the fact that they're damaging your brain, it's a lot like giving you something worse than an STD. It's like, imagine if they were infecting all the black men with diseases, sexual diseases, and then sending them back to the community and all the women are getting infected. Well, when a man goes off and he gets brain damage and his brain doesn't work properly and he loses his ability to control his impulses, he becomes more violent, more aggressive. He becomes the very predators that our community is trying to fight against. Then they're dropping them back onto your family, into your neighborhoods, into your situation, and it's wreaking holy havoc for so many black families out here. So what I really believe is that NFL players or guys who play college sports, college football in particular, should be seen almost similar to, not, I wouldn't say a protected class, But you know, when you go to court and you commit a crime, maybe you kill somebody or whatever, and they say the person's not fit to stand trial because they have a mental disability, they're retarded, or they got a mental illness, or it was a crime of rage and passion, or it's temporary insanity. Well, they ought to give all these brothers that same allowance, given that 99% of the players they studied had this brain disease. Or that would say to me that 99% of the guys who show symptoms of CTE probably have it. So when you see Aaron Hernandez acting a damn fool, not Aaron, I'm sorry, Antonio Brown acting a damn fool, it ain't because he's just making bad choices. He was making good choices until he got cracked upside the head a couple times in the NFL. Now he's making bad choices. Aaron Hernandez is out here getting into gangster shit, shooting people up right after he won the Super Bowl. That's a lack of impulse control. That's a 23-year-old kid with brain damage who actually, did you see the documentary? And when they studied his brain, they said he had extensive brain damage that had been developing for many, many years. So he's 23 years old. He don't know how to deal with this brain damage. So he's getting mad and he's pulling out the gun, pop, pop, pop. He's probably doing the same things a lot of you would do if you could not control your impulse. Imagine, think about how many times you wanted to beat somebody's ass, but you didn't do it because you knew if you did it, you would get locked up, right? How many of you have ever wanted to sleep with somebody and didn't do it because you knew it would be a bad decision to make, right? Imagine if you had no impulse control and you just did whatever your brain told you to do, right? Well, like, okay, I want to go kick his ass. I want to punch him out, right? You're angry, you're furious. You're not going to hold yourself back because with that brain damage, what it does is it damages the what they call the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which is actually the part of your brain that separates the human being from an animal. So animals don't have the prefrontal cortex. So when an animal sees food, he eats. When an animal sees a sexy woman, he wants to have sex. When an animal gets mad at another animal, he wants to kill. He don't want to fight. He wants to kill. Bears will murder other bears if you try to sleep with their woman, right? So when you think about this and you have these players constantly taking these hits, boom, 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 right here in that prefrontal cortex, and it's wearing that down, then what you're doing is you're reducing a man to having the instincts of an animal. And you're already paying him to be very violent by getting on the field and telling him to knock everybody's block off, right? So then you put him back into society and his logical thinking skill has been depleted by the constant slams against the head that has reduced his prefrontal cortex, minimizing his ability to actually make logical decisions and have impulse control. And then next thing you know, they condemn him. They want to wag their finger and say, that's a bad black man. He has low, poor character. When you find out that he punched his wife out in a fit of rage. See, these things are connected, man. These things are connected. So somebody got to tell the truth, and that's what the new black media does. That's our job. Our job is to tell you the truth, even if white folks keep telling you to lie. So I got to go, guys. We got a meeting, but I told Alicia it was on my heart. I needed to have this conversation with you. So before I go, please hit the thumbs up button. Please hit the share button. If you're on Twitter, please share this video because you're not going to hear any professors anywhere that I know of that are having conversations like this on a big platform about these important issues. Everybody else sugarcoats it. Our goal is to keep it 100, keep it real for you, and to share things in a way that nobody else will. Also, last but not least, if you want to know more about what we got going on, you can go to boycewatkins.com. My name's spelled Boyce in case you're new to the platform. And last but not least, if you'd like to support the platform, become a patron, you can join at intelligentblackpeople.com. That's intelligentblackpeople.com. So thank you guys for listening. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll be out. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your own. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm, great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Our family, we the ones who gotta